All right, what's up, class? So today I decided to do the activity where we talk about the major developmental theories in a 1-year-old. Well, I picked a 1-year-old, but I thought these I thought these developmental theories were pretty interesting. I've wondered that personally, like why we end up the way we are and how we get there and how big of an impact our childhood plays on us. Like when we're infants and when we're young and those early stages of life, the different stages that we're going through. I thought it was really fascinating to learn about it because those developmental theories really say a lot about who we are. Also, I picked a 1-year-old because I actually have two nephews, and they are just months apart, but they're both about 1 years old. So I thought it was pretty interesting to learn about these stages that they're in, and then because I watch, you recognize what they're doing, but I'm not really realizing what that really means. It's like it's just what babies do, but it's there's a lot more than that. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the first theory is psychosexual, and that the stage is from birth to 1 year. So I want just a brief little what it is. It's a theory made by Sigmund Freud, and he believed that personality develops during the early stages of childhood. That's when personality starts to um, take a place in an infant's life, and then it goes on, obviously, to the other stages as they get older. But it all starts right there when you're birth to 1 year, and so as children and infants must pass through these certain stages that will affect their personality later on as adults, and or later on as they're growing up and they're kids, and then they're teenagers, and then they're adults after that. So, but the psychosexual stage explains children's pleasure-seeking urges that are focused on different areas of the body, and the area that's the satisfaction or area for a 1-year-old is through oral pleasure. And I thought this is interesting because I see my nephews, and they both go through the same stages. Like they both pass through it together, and it's interesting. Like this, I guess it's satisfaction through oral pleasure, like eating and putting things in their mouth, like toys, and trying all these different kinds of foods. That's the most interesting part to me, is that watching them taste all these different foods, and then they just want more and more and more. It's super fascinating that how it's just it's what helps them make like what makes them feel good, I guess, like how they're um how young they are, but it's just what they do, like, um but also sucking too, like, well, like binkies and bottles and stuff like that. Like they're always wanting something in their mouth because it makes them feel good. Like that's just how that was his theory of how it's focused on, like, the pleasure seeking areas are and urges are focused on different areas of the body. Obviously they change as an infant grows up. The next one is the psychosocial social theory, and this is what Erikson took and modified from Freud's theory, um, and his theory is focused more on the social nature of our development rather than the sexual nature, and this stage is from birth to 12 months or 1 year again, and this is focused on how trust is the basis of our development from birth to 12 months, and they go through this phase called trust, or the stage called trust and mistrust, and it's kind of where they're kind of developing trust instincts, like where to trust and who to trust, and it's interesting because if they have these caregivers, in most cases parents, and they're the primary caregivers of these infants, and the infants are entirely dependent upon their parents or caregivers, so they tend to most easily trust their caregivers because they're the ones who feed them and take care of them, and they're the ones who are there. So, like, it's like who we know and who we love and who we spend the most of our time with now is who we trust. And I thought it was super cool that those trust instincts came when they were starting to develop when we were infants. It also was interesting that infants whose caregivers take care of them and meet their needs, they see the world as a safer place and they're comfortable in it. Infants whose caregivers do not meet their baby's needs can they can end up developing feelings of mistrust, fear, and anxiety. So that's first stages are pretty crucial. The next is the cognitive theory, and infants go through 1-year-olds go through the sensory motor stage, where which means it's the world's experience through senses and actions. And this is where they're starting to look out of themselves more, and they're starting to look out more and kind of explore the world around them, which they're exploring through direct sensory and motor contact, like touching, feeling, exploring, and just like getting out there, like just starting to learn what is around them, and starting to like make noises when they bang things, and they make noises and they realize if I do this it makes it bang, or if I do this it hurts. Like they're just starting to learn and explore the world around them, which is super interesting. But also another interesting part of this stage is that they'll go and explore, but it doesn't really stick in their brains. They don't remember it. I thought it was interesting on the module. I just wanted to talk about this because I was shocked and didn't really think about it before, but it's super interesting that so they had this baby, they had like two blankets, and they had a toy under one, and so then they covered it, and then obviously the baby knew where the toy was, so the baby grabbed it, and then they, in front of the baby's eyes, they took the toy and put it under the other blanket, and they covered him up again, and the baby still went for the first one because that's where it was the first time. So it didn't remember that it was changed. It just went right to where it was the first time. It didn't click that there was any change. So I thought that was cool. The last one is the moral theory, and this is the stage that they go through is punishment and obedience orientation, and it's through 1-year-olds to 6-year-olds. They go through this stage, and it's basically behavior driven to avoid punishment, so they obey rules because they defer to their parents, and they're starting to learn consequence and choice and consequence, and they're starting to do things to avoid punishment and do things so that they won't get caught, or that they won't have to experience the consequences of their actions. So it's obviously just starting to develop, especially in a 1-year-old. So it's more of 1 through 6 that the stage right here that they go through. But anyways, I thought these were super interesting because you see these babies and these infants around you go through these stages, but you're not really thinking about like, oh, they're going through the cycles, like they're going through the sensory motor stage right now, or they're going through the punishment and obedience stage right now. I thought it was just super cool how it works like that. But my question is, do you think these developmental stages in childhood affect our personality when we get older? Do you personally believe that? And if so, how big of an impact do you think they have? But that's all. So thanks for watching.